Well, hello everybody, I'm Huell Hauser, and here we are on a fall morning, a Saturday morning. It's just a little after 9 o'clock. We're in Shasta County, about 20 miles southeast of Redding, and we have come to this place to attend a festival. Here to greet us is Scott Hammelberg.
Good morning.
Scott, how many people are going to be here before the day is over?
We're hoping over 10,000 people before 4 p.m. this afternoon.
So there are going to be a lot of people here.
It's going to be great.
Well, we're here a little bit early because we wanted to beat the crowds, but there was already a line of cars when we came in at 9 o'clock this morning.
Yep, they're pouring in before 9, before we're even ready for them. They're here, they're ready to have a good time.
All right, now this is the 16th annual festival you've had right here, isn't it?
That's correct.
And this festival is educational.
Correct.
It has something for the whole family.
Anyone and everyone.
It is entertaining.
It is.
And its subject is something that all of us here in California need to know more about and appreciate, isn't it?
That's correct, and we're here to do it today.
Yeah, we are. That's all the information we're going to give you. This has been kind of a tease, and what we're going to do is invite you to join us on this adventure as we spend the whole day right here attending this festival along with 10,000 other people, a festival held in one of California's golden parks. Okay, our adventure begins, and we are looking at the subjects of our adventure. In fact, we're looking at thousands of subjects of our adventure. I guess we can give it away now, Scott. Where are we standing?
We are at the Coleman National Fish Hatchery, just outside of Anderson, California. And it's just a great day to be out here.
All right, now, we introduced this by saying we were in one of California's golden parks. That's not exactly true, but it is a special place. It is kind of a park, isn't it?
It's kind of a park. This is a national fish hatchery. It's one of about 69 national fish hatcheries throughout the nation, and this is the only federal fish hatchery in the state of California.
Because when I travel around California, I see other hatcheries, but they're what, state or privately owned hatcheries? They're not federal. This is the only federal hatchery.
That's right, Huell. State, private, other hatcheries do exist in California, but as far as federal facilities, this is the only one, Coleman National Fish Hatchery Complex.
All right, now we're standing there, all the people pouring in over there under the blue tents. We're standing here. It's usually not this busy here, is it? You usually have this place to yourself.
Yeah, we usually have the run of the place, but on a day like this, we love the company. Especially during the fall of the year, we have a lot of people coming out to see us, and today is a very, very special day.
All right, before we talk about what today is, let's talk about what's in all of these. What do you call these things right here?
We call these raceways or ponds. Right behind us right now, we have all steelhead. There's about 50,000 per pond. We got 600,000 total.
600,000 steelhead.
That's right, and just across the way, we've got about 1 million late fall Chinook salmon as well. So we have about 1.5 million juveniles on station right now.
So you grow fish here?
We grow fish. And the purpose that we grow, the reason we grow fish is because when Shasta and Keswick dams were built, which did wonders for the Central Valley, it impacted the fish populations. So some of the fish that were lost for the construction of those dams, we make up for those here.
Okay, so and here's the real payoff for anybody sitting at home with a good eye. They can see right up on the side of your building over there.
A beautiful Chinook salmon in spawning condition, laying some eggs, and we're going to see some real ones today.
We're going to see a lot of real ones today because we are attending the 16th annual
return of the Salmon Festival at Coleman National Fish Hatchery.
The return of the salmon, and they're always here, aren't they? This time of year, you can count on them being here.
Every fall we count on them, and every fall we see them, we're still amazed. It's an amazing process.
Like clockwork.
Like clockwork.
All right, enough of this. You know, we're beating around the bush here. We want to get right to those huge salmon that are returning, just like clockwork. Now we have come down to Battle Creek, which is a tributary that runs off the Sacramento River. And Scott, at first glance, this looks like just a beautiful scenic view here in Shasta County, doesn't it?
It absolutely is a beautiful view in Shasta County.
Yeah, but when you come to this place right here, you're not looking up or out, you're looking down, because this is the most, I have seen a lot of things in California. I have never seen this before. What are we looking at right now?
We're looking at the return of the salmon, and that's why we're here today. And I'm so happy that you and 10,000 people will join us here today to witness this phenomenon. It's so amazing. I witness this year after year, and every year I come down here, I am myself am still amazed.
Now they're coming up the creek this way, and they get, well, you can still see some of them jumping up
right
over here,
right?
But a lot of them are diverted in this little spillway here, and they jump up there.
That little spillway is called a fish ladder, and as these fish leave the Sacramento River, they're coming up Battle Creek into our fish ladder and into our adult holding ponds. Now that's only part of the story as well, because where these fish came from is the Pacific Ocean. They were just out there months ago. They've made the journey home to us.
This same journey home like clockwork every year.
They do. New fish, new fish. Now remember, salmon are one-time spawners.
Yeah.
So this is a one-time trip for them. But nature is amazing when it comes to these fish.
You know, I've heard about this all of my life. I never thought that they were congregated in such huge numbers.
You talk about old times. People talk about, well, you could have walked on the backs of salmon across the creek. This is one place in Northern California where you can still witness that phenomenon.
Well, this is why you get 10,000 people here for this festival every year. This is something out of old California, and it's continuing on into new California.
Imagine if this were to be going on in a natural setting. Many creeks around California historically looked like this in the fall. Unfortunately, a lot of them don't look like this anymore, but this is a throwback to what it would have looked like in a natural state.
This is just, you know, when you look down here, really, I mean, they're everywhere. Everywhere you look, they're fish. Some of them are breaking the surface, some of them are just underwater, but they're covering this whole creek. How long will this go on?
This will go on for about the next 2, maybe 3 weeks, and then the numbers of salmon will start dwindling off. This is the fall run Chinook salmon season, so they're spawning anywhere from about the 1st of October through about Thanksgiving.
Now, are they ever off a couple of days or a couple of weeks? Never a couple of months.
Never a couple of months. A couple of days, certainly, maybe a week at times, but if you come in October to Coleman National Fish Hatchery, this is what you see.
This is one of nature's, I mean, I don't even know, I'm overwhelmed. I've never been speechless before, but this is a beautiful thing to see.
It's beautiful in terms of what Mother Nature can do, how these streams operated, and again, the cultural significance and economic significance to California. These fish contribute to the river fishery, they contribute to the ocean fishery, they contribute to the cultural heritage. It's just, as you mentioned, it's speechless. It's a wonderful thing.
You know, looking right down here below us, this is amazing how they struggled to get up through that opening, and they're really, look at that, how they're going right against that water. That's a very strong current of water.
Huell, that's, at this point in their lives, that's what these fish are built to do. They are making their last run home, and they are in a condition where they're ready to breed, they need to breed, they've got one thing in mind, and they are going to fight to get to where they need to go.
So they're fighting to get upstream.
That's correct. That's the salmon come up and upstream to spawn. Once they spawn, they will die.
Okay, they have left the creek and they are literally fighting their way up the
Fish ladder, Huell.
This is a fish ladder that has, look at the water they're splashing, fighting up each.
Right, each cell. We've got about 7 cells.
Whoa.
So as these fish go, they're jumping weirs, they're fighting all the way, and then they'll make one final jump into our adult holding ponds, and we're going to see those next.
Wow, this is something to see all the way down here. They fight up each ladder to get to the top.
That's right. It's an amazing journey. These fish are totally exhausted by the end of this journey, as you can imagine.
But they've been fighting all the way from the ocean, haven't they? Because they're swimming upstream the whole way.
You talk about a tough life. This is a tough life. And these fish, they typify what Mother Nature does and the journey that she does. These fish are just phenomenal.
This is fascinating looking at it closely because what are these fish doing? They're resting in between each jump.
Fishery science has come a long way, and we use engineering as part of fishery science. So these ladders are engineered so that when a fish jumps over the hard water, it lands in a pool where it can then rest and get ready for the next jump.
So these fish have just jumped up 2 ladders and they're resting. Look at this, before they go up, there he goes. Go up the next ladder, and then the next ladder, and then the next ladder. How many ladders altogether?
7 on this ladder.
We've been joined by the festival coordinator, Roger. There are a lot of people here today. What is the observation that they make more than any other?
Well, the biggest one, the first one, is that they've never seen anything like this before. And most of them are local people. And another common statement is that they've lived here for 30 years and didn't know this place was here.
Now, is that because it's so isolated out here?
That's part of the reason that we're isolated, but a lot of the people don't even recognize these great fish are in their backyard. Sacramento River runs all the way up through Redding. A lot of people fish the river, but when they come out here and they see congregations of fish like we just saw, that's the thing. They've never seen anything like that before.
It's just that there's so many of them together in one place coming up this river. That's it, isn't it?
Absolutely.
You got to come and see this. You got to come and you got to see the fish just stacked up out there coming all the way up.
And what is it, the struggle coming up the ladders that so captivates everybody?
Oh yeah, I mean, since they go all the way from the ocean and they got to come all the way back up, you know, it tells you right there that each fish has its own scent to its own stream that comes on up here.
Yeah.
So they find their way back to their own stream, and then therefore we got to plant fish in different streams to regenerate those fish from streams that maybe man sort of replenished on their own will and stuff. So then they can come back up.
You appreciate what the fishery's doing.
Oh yeah, it's an awesome situation.
When you drove here today with your family, did you have any idea it was going to be like this?
I had no idea. It's a beautiful day and the salmon are huge, and it's really spectacular.
We've been here probably 4 years running.
It never gets old, does it?
It doesn't. It never changes.
And what is it about it that's so...
It's our heritage. My wife is Indian and she was raised around salmon, and I lived here all my life, and it's just part of our life.
Yeah.
Every year to year, we come to see the salmon.
We got the DeRujo family standing here. You're here to see the fish. Are you a local?
No, I'm not a local. We just moved up from San Francisco.
Well, now see, come here, Scott. You know what I'm getting at here?
Did you follow these fish, or did they follow you?
We used to fish a lot in the bay, but I've never seen them like this. This is amazing.
Yeah, see, both your family and the fish have come here from San Francisco.
Basically following them, yeah.
It just keeps getting better. Now these fish, they're kind of slowing down because they have expended a lot of energy coming up those 7 ladders.
That's right. All the fish that we just saw trying to jump and leap and get to us, now they're in one of our adult holding ponds. So it's one short step away from their final destination. but they're actually kind of resting, taking it easy in here, and we'll move on to the next spot.
Now, how long will they stay in, what do you call this, a holding?
This is an adult holding pond. They'll only stay in here about 1 day, maybe a day and a half, from the time they jump into us to the time that we take them into the spawning building.
Now, I've heard that these fish don't eat at all from the time they start their journey from the ocean up here, that they haven't eaten in how long?
These fish probably haven't eaten for a month to 3 months, depending upon when they left the ocean.
Wow.
They're devoting all of their final energy reserves to the production of gametes, eggs and milt.
Eggs and melt.
Right.
I'm not sure what all of that is, but we're going to find that out.
We're going to see some of that.
Some of these fish are jumping. I just saw 2 of them jump in the background here.
Yeah, they will still look for a way out. They're a little bit confused right now. Salmon are river fish, so you get into a pond like this, the flow isn't quite what they expected.
They like fast running
like
water,
flat,
don't they?
fast. That's what they're expecting to find and spawn in. So they like it. They like the hard water. They like the flowing water. But the funny thing is, every now and then with these jumps, we might see a kid get wet yet.
Really? You mean
Yes.
standing this close?
Standing
to
right here, one might jump up and get somebody wet, and we'll hear a big squeal.
Now there's a big crowd in here. We've come inside, Scott, and where are we right now?
We're in the spawning building right now.
The spawning building, and this
Correct.
is where the fish come from those holding tanks.
Correct. The adult holding ponds outside that we just saw, we pushed those fish into the spawning building, and now we're going to witness some of the spawning going on.
Okay, so here is what happens. Here are our fish right here. Our friend here is pulling them out. Boy, that's a big fish. And what is he doing?
That's a female. We put it on the hook, and then we inject a needle into the body cavity. And he's working an air pedal. That air pedal is actually injecting air into the body cavity, and the eggs are being forced out of the female.
Oh, this orange, those are eggs.
Those are the eggs coming out of the female right now.
You split the fish open.
We don't do rip spawning anymore. We do all air injection.
Wow. And then the fish is put down into the chute, and what happens to the dead fish after they've had the eggs taken out?
That's going to go to a food bank for needy people all through California.
So the fish are not just thrown out.
They're not wasted at all. Everything that we use here, spawn, all that meat goes to a food bank.
Now, see, I would think that a lot of people standing up here watching, and probably a lot of people at home, are kind of, I mean, this is a pretty traumatic thing to see, but the truth of the matter is, these salmon were gonna die anyway out in the wild, out in the natural.
That's exactly right. These salmon come back and they spawn one time, and then they will die. So the process that we're doing in this building right here is really no different from what's going on in the streams and tributaries of all the Pacific coast salmon.
It's just a controlled situation.
It's a controlled situation, and again, we're doing it because the habitat that these fish would have normally spawned in is largely lost.
The dams that were built for power, for flood control, for recreation, whatever, have kept the salmon from naturally going upstream to spawn. So this is one of those situations where you're spawning them yourself.
Right. Taking the place of Mother Nature in this case, spawning the fish ourselves where naturally they would do this in the environment itself.
Now, what's this other fella doing over here?
Well, in fertilization process, Huell, there's two parts. There's the female part, so that's the eggs coming into the pan. And then, of course, to complete fertilization, milt from the male needs to be put over those eggs. So the gentleman in the yellow right now is milking that male and squirting semen on top of the eggs to effect final fertilization.
Wow, so you're taking the milk from the male and the eggs from the female.
Correct.
We're following the eggs.
Right, Huell, we just saw eggs being spawned. down in the spawning building and fertilized. Now all those fertilized eggs are moved up here into our incubation building.
Okay, so this whole building is filled with tanks full of eggs.
Actually, stacks full of eggs. We have 176 stacks of incubators, and each one of those stacks has about 15 trays in it. So we have over 3,000 trays of room for incubation of salmon and steelhead eggs.
And how long do these eggs stay here like this?
They'll stay in incubation for about 50 days. Then they'll hatch, and we'll put them out either into some of the green tanks that you see in this room or directly outside into some of our large holding ponds.
Let's look at the eggs, because you've got a display. That's what everybody is looking at here. Let's look at these eggs right here. Look at this. These are salmon eggs.
These are salmon eggs. You'll see that there's two kinds in here. There's basically nice clear orange ones and white ones. The white ones, unfortunately, are dead, but we have these trays up here just for the purpose of allowing people to look at them.
Just to see, this is amazing, just to see all of these salmon eggs. Now, they weren't that big when they were taken out of the fish that we just saw.
They were about this big. They increase in size just a little bit as they water harden. They're taking in water, they take in the sperm, and cell division is already occurring in these eggs.
Wow, this is amazing, and this is a very popular place. People like to come through and look at the eggs.
It is. Again, just like getting up close and personal with the fish, they can get up close and personal with the eggs right here.
With the future fish.
With the future fish, and we love the people to be able to interact in this display area.
You got it all here, from the eggs to the fish that come from the eggs.
Right in this little display area, we show the eggs. We just walked away from those. Now we walked over to this nice large aquarium where we have nice large steelhead juveniles and some nice large Chinook salmon juveniles.
Now, is this how big the fish are when you let them back loose?
Some of the fish are this big. Actually, the steelhead are probably a little bit smaller than what they would be at release. And these Chinook juveniles are probably a little bit bigger than what they would be at release.
But the idea is the eggs become fish. They stay in those big runs that we saw out there.
Right.
Grow, and then you take them and release them where?
We release most of our fish right here in Battle Creek, and that's why the fish return to us in Battle Creek.
So you release them, and they swim downstream all the way
to San Francisco, all the way to the bay, out into the Pacific Ocean.
In the ocean, and then they swim back here.
You bet. A journey which takes them maybe 2 years, maybe 4 years. A journey from which they grow from this size to the big fish that we saw down below. A journey that probably takes them thousands of miles as they swim through the fresh water and through the ocean.
How many of these little fish do you put back in the stream every year?
We release from this facility almost 14 million fish per year. 14 million.
14 million?
That's right.
And how many do you get out?
Anywhere from about 150 to 200,000 back from those 15 million.
So what happens to the other 13 million?
It's natural loss. There's predation, there's disease, there's other
fishermen?
Other fishermen. But the fishermen is one of the reasons that we're putting these fish out there. So we're wanting some of our fish to be caught by the fishermen.
Yeah.
But we need some of them back, obviously, as broodstock.
To keep it going.
To keep it going.
We got to be careful not to walk directly on all this salmon artwork that's being done here, but we wanted to end up here back kind of where we started, right here by Battle Creek. Scott, I don't know what I expected, but this has been an absolutely amazing day, and I'm sure it grabs everyone who comes here the same way it grabbed me, and I'm sure the way it grabbed our viewers.
That's the way that it grabs most of our visitors here. And again, it's not even the visitors, it's people like me that work here year after year, all my staff. It's just an amazing sight. And you really got to come out to Coleman National Fish Hatchery to witness this. At least come out on Salmon Festival Day. We hold this the third Saturday of October every year, rain or shine, because that's when the fish are here.
Yeah, the fish come every year, rain or shine.
That's right.
So you have your festival every year, rain or shine. This Salmon Festival, which celebrates the salmon, which is such a part of California, part of life here in California. It's such a wonderful story. There's really nothing sad about the death of the salmon because that's part of the whole life cycle. It's part of what it's all about.
It's part of the natural cycle. The salmon come back, they die, but they make the eggs, they make the juveniles, they make that return trip. It's just a phenomenal cycle. What we do here, we really enjoy. We know that it serves a purpose for society. And all I can say is I'm so glad the turnout is today what it is. And thank you so much for coming out.
Wow, this has been a wonderful day. The Coleman Fish Hatchery, the only federal hatchery anywhere in the entire state of California. You're doing a great job. They're open 365 days of the year, but the peak every year is always the Salmon Festival. And I got to tell you, I could stand here, right here, all day just watching these amazing fish coming back home to spawn.
That's correct, Huell, and a lot of people around here, that's exactly what they're doing. We hope that they spend hours with us out here to really understand salmon biology, what salmon need, and the operations here at the hatchery.
Well, it's been a wonderful day at the Coleman Fish Hatchery here in the little town of Anderson in Shasta County, which is definitely one of California's golden parts. Well, it's time again for the annual return of the Salmon Festival at the Coleman National Fish Hatchery in Anderson. Now, I know it's a long drive from Southern California, but if you've never experienced something like this, believe me, it's well worth the effort. Or maybe you can just tell your Northern California friends about it, and they can go and tell you about it. For information, call 530-365-8622 or go to www.fws.gov/Coleman. It all takes place Saturday, October the 15th from 9 to 4. And remember, here in California, it's all about those magnificent salmon.